Welcome to a special Saturday Night Gaming podcast. Doing something a little different tonight. We're going to be discussing our thoughts on the Captain Marvel movie. So, spoilers.
Yes.
Beware.
Spoilers.
We will tell you how the movie goes, how it ends, and the source material it comes from.
And everything in between.
Yes. And everything in between. Even our thoughts on how attractive the main character was.
Yes.
Especially that.
Giggity. And
so, how... If you don't want to hear any of that, then go and turn us off now.
Yeah.
Or don't and share.
No. Better yet, just switch to the next podcast.
Yeah.
And share that too.
I'm not sure where this is falling yet, though.
Yeah.
Like I said,
It's probably land pretty soon.
I didn't label. I just said the next podcast.
If you're worried about spoilers, just go back and listen to the last podcast. And
worry about spoilers, stay off the internet.
Yeah, really.
Like the temporal storm, a whole bunch. Put all the likes on it. Share it with all your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Best game ever, I heard.
It definitely was the best game ever.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It's taking our top 10.
Yeah.
For now.
Top 10 Tony, that's what they call me.
I think we should probably just give our general consensus.
Let's start with that.
Right?
I think we should start out with Sean's opinion and then have us battle his ideas.
Just bash it after.
Just badger him to death.
That's just what we do.
It could just be a new podcast called Battle Review where someone gives their opinion and someone else must take the opposite.
Right. Ooh.
We already do that though.
Devil's Advocate podcast.
Yeah.
That's normal
Yeah,
conversation.
that's our normal conversations. What are you talking about?
He can be the side of
Well, they need to
the
be
not
moderated.
mine, and then I'll take the opposite side, and then other people can jump
Right,
in.
both of
with
you guys.
information.
How about we start with our own opinions first? Like,
Yeah.
what you guys thought?
I liked it.
What do you rate it?
It was fun. It was funny. Rating.
Rated R.
For
But yeah, I liked it. It was fun. As far as rating goes, I'd never really known.
Out of the 22 Marvel movies, where would you put it?
Out of the
So 1 to 22. 1 being the
I think
best.
this was number 23.
no, I think it was 21. I heard something today. It was like 21, 21st. Out of the 21 Marvel movies, are we including Sony Spider-Man?
We're including Ghost Rider.
Any of the
You
Sony
get,
Spider-Man?
you get to include the modern Spider-Man, not Tobey Maguire, because nobody wants to hear about him, and not Andrew Garfield.
Tobey Maguire, that was Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 is actually in my top 5 of movies.
Well, it's out.
Okay.
Just not
His
even,
opinion no longer matters, and we've moved on to Matt's
All
opinion.
right. Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Marvel
Now,
Cinematic
all
Universe.
of those movies.
So we're not including.
Marvel
we're
Cinematic
we're including.
You get
the new
Homecoming,
Spider-Man.
you
Yeah.
just don't get any of the
Yeah.
other Spider-Man.
Starting
MCU.
Incredible Hulk.
Okay, well,
Where does it
out of
rank?
that, I would probably say, I'd probably say in the top 10 or so, top 15, top 10. So
Yeah.
So, just a variable, either the last favorite or the first favorite could be in there somewhere.
Yeah. I liked the movie. It was a good movie. It was a good mix of comedy with a good story-driven aspect of this character, Captain Marvel, and kind of her origin story, quote unquote. I would definitely rate it a solid 8.
8.
Yeah, solid 8. That's what I'm gonna rate it.
So, would you say she was adopted or kidnapped? There's a fine line in that movie.
She was
pretty-
totally kidnapped.
totally kidnapped.
Yeah. We have no memory of it.
Well, that's
That
just
doesn't
because they
matter.
roofie her
I mean,
doesn't
that's
make
it.
it right.
I mean, it's still mind wipe. Okay, I mean,
Yeah, you're
gosh,
setting a bad precedent there.
Yeah.
just ask any
They
anyone who's been
kidnapped her
raped.
to use her as a war tool.
yeah.
They're total. What rating are we going for this podcast?
PG-13, like the movie?
They're total Dick Graysons, if you know what I mean.
That was a creative way to throw it in there.
I would say I really liked it. I liked the time era, the time that it was given, and the real sense and feel of the 90s that it gave you.
Yes.
The fact that I had to
Dude, the
explain to
music.
my daughter what Blockbuster was.
So-
Yes, all the awesome 90s.
She didn't
overheads.
understand the loading bar on the computer when
Yeah.
she saw it, so I had to explain
Gwen
that as well.
Stefani,
So-
man.
Gwen
Yeah.
Stefani, I'm just a girl.
Something kind of funny about that was I actually really like the music too.
Yeah.
But me and John were talking about last night. He actually
thought they could have picked better songs. And,
I think that those were the most female-driven songs of the era.
But my thing is, like, I thought it was really well done. I pointed out, was like, well, I think it was a matter of he's more of a child of the 80s, I'm more of a child of the 90s.
I'm a little bit of both. We both are, though. We were born in the last.
Well, I was born in '83, but the songs the songs I typically remember more are songs from the '90s because that's about the time that I was able to actually pick.
Now,
the songs.
okay, when they went and saw Maria Rambo and they had that one song, didn't they have the song playing? You gotta be tough, you gotta be wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean that was all good stuff. I thought it was like the top.
Yeah, it was real good,
And they only put in like one Nirvana song, so that was good. I appreciated that.
Yeah, it was good how they included in this strong female protagonist, all these good female songs that were relevant in that time era that it was displayed.
And I'm sorry, but my favorite part of the whole movie, the part where the Supreme Intelligence tried to dictate to her that she was a failure because she was human without the Kree, showed her falling down all the time.
Yeah.
But then she remembered the latter half of that where she's constantly getting
Yeah, I really like that.
That was a real chilling moment.
The never give up spirit,
Never give up. That's what humanity is. That's what we can all have.
Honestly, some with that, like, I remember seeing that in the trailers, so I'm curious if it would have had a bigger impact if I hadn't.
If you hadn't seen that?
Yeah.
I didn't remember
Because, I mean, I still liked
it.
it. I still liked that scene, and I mean, I knew it was coming and everything, but I still thought it was done well.
I think it was excellent. Because, I mean, especially if you've ever been in any kind of tough, rigorous training, like what they're showing where she falls down from the rope climbs and stuff like that, that's a huge moment in the evolution of a person when they're trying to go through something and they're trying to achieve something they're too afraid to achieve, and then they realize either they can or they can't, or they keep trying. And it's just, I think that dictates the kind of military personnel or just person you're going to be in life.
Yeah.
And to see that she's just the type of person that she's not going to quit.
Yeah.
No matter what the odds are. But I do think the overall tone of the movie, keeping it a little bit more comedic, keeping it a little bit more lighthearted, helped introduce the character without too much excess weight.
Yeah.
Unnecessary weight.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually have a question, kind of like talking about the tone of the movie and everything. Sorry, we get
Sean just
we
taking
get off
over.
topic.
This is how their relationship goes every single date. He's just told him, you can't tell me no, and we're going on another date.
They, what was it? We were, I forgot what I was going to say. But you were talking about the tone of the movie. Sorry, if I don't say this now, I'm going to forget.
That's true.
Something I was thinking about was...
Yes.
Something I was thinking about was that was interesting. As I was watching it, both times I've seen it, it felt like it was just a constant, like, rush. Like, they were constantly moving, and it didn't even feel like... It's hard to explain what I mean, but it didn't feel like a typical, like, 3-act structure like you always hear about.
I don't think it
felt
was
like
typical, no.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the framework just felt like just one continuous...
But I liked it better that way, where it was kind of like, because it puts you in the realm of Carol Danvers herself, where, A, her memory's scrambled. She doesn't know where she's at, where she's coming from, or what she stands for yet.
Yeah.
And so I think the majority of the tone of the movie and the way they filmed it puts you in her shoes.
Yeah, where it's like you're in...
Feel that.
You're in a jet seat and you're going...
What do you think about it, John?
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think that Carol Danvers does not have a memory, and basically the audience knows a lot more about her than she knows about herself. So I have the opposite opinion.
Okay.
There's a quick note. I watched this in 3D, and I believe that it colored my emotional viewing of it. So that's to say, I was not emotionally impacted at all. I couldn't relate to any of what was going on screen.
Because of the migraine.
Emotionally, yeah, because of the migraine that 3D gave me. No, it's just, I think that 3D was distracting and unnecessary in any movie that is shot and cut for 2D distribution.
And I'm the only person who actually disagrees.
He's the only person who disagrees.
I actually like 3D.
Yeah, I agree.
But,
But,
you probably don't have
ain't worth the
glasses,
money.
and then have to put the glasses over your glasses, and then we're already dealing with altered perception in reality.
IMAX is different, though. Like, I'll pay
IMAX
for
is way better.
Yeah.
I won't pay for 3D though.
But even IMAX,
I think
needs to
3D
be
is like
trained for it.
Yeah.
me sitting there compromising for not seeing an IMAX.
Honestly, they could re-release 12 Angry Men in 3D, and I'd still go see it just because I like 3D that much.
Well,
I like
with 12 Angry
added
Men,
effects like that.
It would actually work because that's basically
It
one
helps,
location.
it helps keep him in the movie though, and not as much
Well-
like getting up and walking away.
Well, 12 Angry Men,
It
like,
scares them into the movie. It's like, oh, hey, this person's here. I can't
Hey.
walk out of the movie.
It's one location,
Well,
and well,
going back to what you're saying about the 3D though, the problem is, I would say all of them, if not most of them, are overlaid with 3D from the MCU. They're not shot in 3D, and that makes a huge difference. Like if you go and watch Tron in 3D,
Yeah.
it's totally different because it's actually shot in 3D.
and
Yeah.
I think that Tron is one of those
It
movies.
makes a huge difference when you see. Cause
Yeah.
the thing is, like the way we are, we can start, I guess, telling that the falsehood basically, you know.
Right.
And so it doesn't start working on us as well because it's like
You're
well,
picking
yeah.
up the perception differences, and you're noticing the
Exactly.
flaws.
But if it's actually shot in it, like how it's I guess supposed to be,
A
you
little
know.
bit smoother.
The thing is, like you told me that before, and I've seen that maybe once, but in general, I don't really notice that. And honestly, I thought the 3D was, even if it was done After Effects, I actually thought it was done really well.
I agree with
So
you,
the
Sean.
general consensus is go see it in 2D.
The 3D.
Don't
See
pay.
it in 2D.
Save your money.
No,
Save money.
The general consensus
Damn.
is if you like 3D, go see it in 3D. If you don't,
See
then
it,
don't.
see it in 2D, but in a recliner, and after you're done watching it, listen to this podcast and share with your friends.
And watch
Yeah.
it in 3D after the
Definitely.
fact.
I can't sit in a recliner and watch
But like the 3D
I
in this
loved it. I love
particular
those recliners.
theater
I know,
in
right?
Captain
Those are
so
Marvel
nice.
was actually very
Oh.
good. It was very solid. It's just that I don't think that it works for that format of entertainment. So like if you had a Tron that was shot with the intent of 3D being a major point to it, then that's different. And with a 12 Angry Men reference, if you have a 3D scene, like a stage, and you have actors, and your eyes allowed to kind of wander and look around the room, as opposed to cutting every 2 seconds to a close-up, then I think 3D can work. But with this format, the editing is edited for 2D, the shots are composed in 2D, the 3D adds nothing and can potentially take away, in my personal opinion. Which, by the way, I haven't even given you my opinion of the movie.
Yeah, what was your opinion of the movie?
Yeah. Let's backtrack to that moment.
I'm going to give it a solid 7.5, but it's like it's pending until I see it in 2D. Because I really
I'll take you on our first date. We'll go.
okay. Cool. You're paying, right?
Yeah, I can have it.
All right.
It was
So
Dutch.
as long as you put out, he'll pay.
I know you live in Midtown. It's okay. Everybody's gonna have a Midtown girlfriend.
But like, no, I thought it was. There's a lot of good things about it. A lot of things that could have been done better. Of course, this is always my opinion. In regards to like the typical 3-act story arc, it is atypical in my opinion. In that typically in a narrative you have a main character that has some sort of change that happens to her fundamentally, not just given some great power, but her character changes, and that did not happen in this.
I think-
But she
Well,
did
what
have
would
great
you-
responsibility, though.
What would you suppose if I told you that in this act, her character change is actually
Act
reminding herself that
Of who she is.
of who she is, and that where she was to begin with was better. So, as the Kree
Basically,
fears or
brainwashing.
whatever they wanted to call her, she had this stance that she was going to follow their lead no matter what. She didn't go with her gut. She was trying to overthink herself, and she was trying to only follow orders. And the change was to be reminded of the fact that her gut instinct is what led her through most things, and rebelling against orders and doing what she thought was right was actually who she was, and that's what got us her at the end of the movie.
I thought about something just now as you spoke. Like so when you said she was when we first meet her, she's Kree in quotation marks. Has been indoctrinated against the Skrulls, and then over the course of the movie, she comes to distrust that, and then slowly becomes like to the realization that the Skrulls are not what they thought they were. that would be a story arc if it was subtle. But it happens all at once in the third act. It starts the third act. If she had been struggling with it, like slowly building up, again, I've only seen this in 3D and I'm not fresh, so
I've only seen this once.
I've only seen it once, but that was my takeaway, and I do have to see it again just to like confirm everything.
I think she was struggling with it though, because like at the very beginning, she woke up from that nightmare of like trying to figure out her past, and then questioning those in authority over her who were saying like, "No, you're not ready for this mission."
That's
because
just her
of the
character.
death."
She's
What do
always
you think,
questioned
Scott?
authority, no matter where it's
Yes.
coming from.
What did Scott think? What did Captain think?
That's right, our own captain.
Let's see. Well, I did like it. I liked the movie. I thought it had a nice little feel to it. It was
Especially since your daughter was in it.
yes.
Well, having a daughter, I think, does change a bit of how you take
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you want your daughters to have this
Yeah.
kind of.
I don't know.
these good kind of role models.
I
Right.
can't really speak on that because I don't know what it's like not having one really. So
Right.
it's kind of hard for me to really say that.
Yeah.
But I can say though that I did take my oldest daughter to go see it. She's 12 actually in a few weeks. So I thought it was good for her to see just kind of, I guess the whole girl power thing, you know?
Role model.
Yeah,
Yeah.
role model because I mean, that's honestly like what she's doing. She's a black belt right now. She's
Yeah.
working to second degree black belt,
Yeah.
and she's basically showing up all the boys in her class, you know, in
Yeah.
the karate class. And that's what like when I see Captain Marvel, it's like, yep. If my daughter was a superhero, this is kind of the attitude that she would take with it.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I see her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was pretty lighthearted.
Yeah.
It had, you know, the character, the main character, you know, was pretty humorous throughout, but not overly humorous.
Yeah.
You know, it was nice.
Kind of a Tony Starkish feel, the way that she just jived through certain things.
Yeah.
Less of a jerk, but yeah.
Yeah.
She's less of a jerk, but yeah.
Yeah, less of a drunk ass. I mean,
That's your one for 30 minutes.
Well, that's his one. That's not my one. I haven't used it yet.
Oh, we get to curse once. Is that?
once. Well, we all get one, so
Well, I'm not going to use mine. So
I took everybody's.
I called it on yours.
But no, that's what I thought about it, and it was really good. It did seem rushed, like I don't know what Sean said, but
Yeah.
the one thing I've noticed about the movies is that I was thinking about this right when the movie started, was that I like the MCU movies. I think they do a pretty good job of trying to cram all this stuff in there,
Mm-hmm.
especially with trying to make it relate with other movies.
Yeah.
However, I do think that this concept they had built with it would work much better in a TV format.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like
Similar
more time
to
to into the character.
Arrowverse.
Yeah,
from
the Arrowverse,
DC.
Flash, Arrow.
And the reason why is because, like,
Yeah.
with the Captain Marvel movie, like, with everything that happened, I could see that happening over, like, 2 to 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I'd say a season
You know.
would be good, but
Yeah.
they also, I think a lot of the times to make a good story that makes people feel compelled, they combine about 3 comic book story arcs into it. Usually something from the main 616, something from the Ultimate Verse, and maybe just an additional story. So that way they have enough of these excess people in the background, like Minerva, one of her biggest bad guys.
Phil Coulson.
Well, you had Phil
Agent of
Coulson
S.H.I.E.L.D.
there, but you also had Minerva, and you had the original Marvel's bad guy, and Jan, and then you had Korath, which I was really hoping he would get obliterated so I could understand why he was a cyborg for Thanos. Right? Didn't you feel that way?
Yeah.
A little bit. But you had all those people in all these separate storylines because this was a little bit of the actual original Captain Marvel's story, which Carol Danvers was a part of, just not as Miss Marvel yet, or as Captain Marvel as she is now. But I think that it worked better for her to have it all. But I would also ask you how you felt about the Marvel reveal that Lawson was Marvel.
Yes, I caught that.
Mm-hmm.
And it threw me off. I'm like, is this okay? This is different. You know, because I'm trying to match everything going. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this from comics, this and the other. I'm like, oh, okay, you threw one out of left field on me.
Yeah.
You know, it completely threw me off.
Because you were probably expecting Jude Law to have been Marvel. Or at least Genis Vale.
Yes.
Or something.
Right, and that one kind of threw me out there. Now, again, that goes back with the whole how they're handling the MCU. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and the fact of basically they're kind of building their own deal. They're taking inspirations, from the characters, from different story arcs.
Mhm.
But when all comes down to it, the MCU is its own
Entity.
Yeah.
And when you have so much of these, so many gears working, you have to make sure everything is in place for a reason to, connect with something else. So when I look at the movies and I see the choices that they're making them, what I look at is, okay, how is this going to connect later? Because this isn't just a standalone movie. This is going to connect somewhere else.
It's an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so to speak. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about the whole television thing, is that honestly I am excited to see the Disney streaming service with Loki, for instance.
Right.
Because I think we can get a little bit more, story out of him versus just kind of this little
Snippet
we see in the movies.
Yeah.
Kind of like I like seeing the history of the characters and why they do what they do,
instead of being left to build it in your mind.
Yes, or something being rushed through it and you're just kind of taking two things and putting them together and so that's why he acts the way he does.
Yeah.
Well, because I had actually posed that question to Sean probably about 2 weeks ago, was what actually changed Loki? In the arcs that you've seen him in, he goes from being a villain on his own to being a lackey villain to being a good guy. But what was the compelling nature of his change? He didn't have a female that he fell in love with from Earth. He didn't have a near-death experience. He lost his mother, sure. And he has some sort of intense brother relationship.
Yeah, I think.
Well, he's had a couple near-death experiences.
Well,
Air quotes.
Air quotes there.
air quotes. He's definitely had a death experience now, but,
Are we sure?
Or has he?
I think he did, but we will find out how he's going to be reiterated after the endgame happens.
So, has everybody gone, or have you...
Oh, yeah, I still have one more thing that I wanted to point out was I like some of the little minuscule attention to detail things. Like, for example, up until this movie, we've seen Nick Fury and his eye and how he got it, and it finally shows us how his eye got messed up.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that crucial detail. And this is also my own little side tangent here is because Phil Coulson and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a good TV series I recommend watch. It also ties into his background to how he reacts to things through that TV series as well. Yeah. And so it was a good little jump start for that, and I really appreciated that in the movie.
I think he needs to have a better story of how he lost his eye, though.
Yeah.
I'm
the same way. I thought
this was the best story for it, and this is why. I used to be obsessed
I
with having a scar on my face, right? Because, Cable had the scar on the face. All the cool characters get that eye patch or scar on the face. And my old roommate, John, used to say to me, Slade, all of them. And my old roommate, John, used to say, wouldn't it be hilarious if you were just taking a shower one day, you slipped, you fell, you hit your face on the faucet, and you got to wear this eye patch and have this cool scar on your face for the rest of your life, but then you're left with structuring the best fishtail you've ever come up with in your life to not tell people, I was kind of drunk in the shower and slipped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that?
I think that's the angle they went with.
And that angle where Coulson says...
does with scars.
When Coulson says... I heard that they interrogated you, and he says, I will not confirm or deny.
Yeah, that is
very good.
That is the joke.
Yeah.
That is the point at which you know that they're aware that that's a lame thing to have.
Right.
Yeah. And it makes
That's
it
the
work.
whole point. And plus the fact that his eye was constantly being gotten after. We're going to take your eye.
Yeah.
Fate wants
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a big question I have. How
so
did everybody feel? Because I was waiting. This was one of the things I was waiting for the whole movie was to see the side of her plane. Okay? Because everybody knows when you're a Top Gun, when you got your own plane, you get your name with your call sign in it.
Yes.
And I was waiting to see it say Warbird or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Was
Any
that
of
the
her many
actual
names.
what it was originally?
It said Avenger. Oh,
Well,
Warbird was one of her.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Right.
But to see it say Avenger, Carol Avenger Danvers, how did everybody feel about that little twist?
Oh, I love it.
That's fine.
I like that. I was fine with it. It gave us a good reason to why he called it the Avenger Initiative. Without,
And also, she's
I didn't-
officially an Avenger.
I didn't
and
think it.
One of the first.
yeah,
the first
she's
idea.
literal.
I didn't think it was
first
the
Avenger.
most clever of ways to write it
Captain America
in,
was.
but I mean it worked, so I don't really have an objection to it.
But no, my feeling about it is, if I had seen this movie, like if I was watching these in chronological order, you know,
Yeah.
and I saw this before I saw the Avengers, it would have more effect on me.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
having seen the Avengers and then seeing the movie come out afterwards, it doesn't have that much of an effect because it's like, oh well, I mean, yeah, we'll just throw this in the backstory here to explain this, or to just do a little Easter egg or whatever.
Well, maybe
it
to
doesn't
rank
have
her.
as much of an effect as if I
Don't you-
saw it first.
Do you feel like they did it to rank her?
Like she's like
No.
To give her status?
highest.
She's
yeah.
actually
think
the
it
first
is now.
Avenger.
Yeah.
I don't think they did. To me, honestly, I think they just threw it in there just to kind of give a little bit of an explanation, so to speak, of
Yeah.
why Avengers was chosen.
A bit of a wink
You know
and a
what I mean?
nod.
Yeah.
Because it's when it comes
I
down
think
to it,
these
it's
are
Nick
way
Fury's baby.
important though, because if you think about it, like in everybody else's basic origin stories, think about how hard Captain America was fighting against Red Skull and almost lost. Think about Iron Man versus the Ironmonger, or even Thor when he eventually has to go against the Destroyer and is almost killed. Carol, in this movie, I don't know if you noticed,
Just wipe the floor with everyone.
wipes the floor with everyone and
Yeah.
doesn't break a sweat. And I
Even
think
with
that
her
that-
hands tied behind her back and her powers
Right.
essentially morphed. too.
Right, and
She's still kicking
stunted.
ass.
And I think they did that to really set the tone of how powerful
Yeah.
their version of Superman is.
Yeah.
And I think that like I was telling
And also
John
the
earlier,
stakes for
this
the next
is only the beginning of her arc, because I think with them showing Endgame's coming, she's there.
Yeah.
She's there from the get go, and the fact that she's going to go probably toe to toe with Thanos, who we know is so freaking powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this matters in that to also show some tones of how powerful he is.
Yeah.
I think it changed though in the fact of that.
Well, Nihilus is going to be
See,
introduced, isn't he?
her biggest threat though wasn't from the outside. Hers was internal conflict the entire movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what the tone of the movie was for her. Is her biggest enemy was herself.
Yeah.
So it was different from all the other ones. Instead of you got this big bad guy you're taking down. You know, it's not. It's she has to basically overcome herself.
I've already said
That the little device that she had on her, you know, to help her control the powers and everything. It's like it's because she didn't know how to control her powers because she hadn't won that battle yet.
she hadn't even realized she had them.
Yeah, as soon
Exactly.
as she got them, she was stifled, so she
And
hadn't had time
indoctrinated.
to like you
Exactly.
know, really get into it.
So I think that's what it was. Is that her biggest, enemy in this movie was her own self, and that she had to basically fight the internal conflict throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's wiping the floor of everybody else.
I mean,
But-
just her flying
Yeah.
through one of Ronan's dark Aster ships
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just plowing through it, and then when he sits there and he says, "And we've got to go," you
Yeah.
know, it's like
Check
Yeah.
that dude totally bamfed, and he was
Yeah.
like, "No, this is it."
Well,
Yeah,
let's
okay.
just hope that when she faces Thanos, she actually goes for the head this time.
I know.
That's a joke to Disney though, because Disney won't let people go for the head.
I actually had a question that with like all the kind of jumping topics with all like the controversy about like feminism and all that stuff. How do you think that was handled in this?
The what?
The feminism?
I thought it was great. I thought the way that they did it was
Yeah.
good because it wasn't about bashing the opposite. It was about supporting the prior.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
lift what you love, don't bash what you hate or what
Absolutely.
you stand opposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt. I thought the exact same thing. I thought
Because
I
they
guess
could have
I
at any
missed
point.
something here.
Well,
What
like
I missed.
there's this big controversy about how this is like she's supposed to be this big
feminist movement.
feminazi basically kind of character, and they're like Disney's trying to put down men and all this kind of stuff, which is obviously the extremist side.
That's the troll version
But-
of it.
I don't know
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
any of that, but what I do know is this is the first one that had a solo movie with a lead role with the
yeah,
with a
yeah,
woman.
Yeah.
which is part
which
of
is
it.
which is a
Yeah.
huge deal.
Yeah.
And even Marvel, you mentioned that fact that this is a step in a new direction that they're
Yeah.
taking as
Yeah.
far as expanding the roster here.
Yeah.
Well, it was
You
just
know,
like just
so-
like Black Panther. Think about that. That was the first singular title role of a black male superhero.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I don't know if
Except
you've noticed this, but every single major superhero has his own sidekick who could replace him, who just so happens to be black. So you got Iron Man who has Rhodey. You've got Captain who's got the Falcon.
Yeah.
You've got Thor has Heimdall always at his side, right? An
He
equally powerful
anymore.
Asgardian.
Not anymore.
Well, not
yeah.
anymore.
Not anymore, thanks guys. Yeah. Bring back up that fresh wound. But they've got these
What about Spider-Man now?
Miles
Morales.
Yeah,
But he's
No,
not
Miles
introduced.
isn't.
He's
Not
not,
yet.
but I'm just
Well, that's what I'm
saying,
saying. Like based
in comic
him
lore,
introduced.
His
not yet,
sidekick is
well,
Hawaiian.
yeah, but we
because
can't.
even here with Carol Danvers, you have.
I thought you were talking about
Maria's
those who were
kid.
introduced
The other
already
Miss
Marvel.
in
The
the
other Miss
MCU. Is what I thought you were talking about.
Well, I mean, they do introduce them in the movies, though. So, like with Captain Marvel, with Carol, you have Rambo and her kid, Monica Rambeau, who would eventually become a Miss Marvel in the comic stories. So they have like this iteration of you can have either one, kind of a Hal Jordan, John Stewart thing going on. It could be either one. We're not against that. But with Black Panther, he's the reason that he's there. And it's also based upon the Black Panther Brigade, the tank brigade that was in World War II. So that was a big deal too, because it came out way before the Civil Rights Group did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that I think would be kind of funny and maybe a little bit fair is if he had a South African Dutch origin sidekick who was a white guy that got to call himself White Tiger. I'll play the part if they need me to.
In a way, they did in Black Panther because it was what's his name?
Schmeagol
Yeah, the CIA agent guy.
or Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I can't remember
Ross.
his name.
That was a bad guy, I thought.
No, he's talking about Agent Ross. That's like
Yeah.
helping.
Oh, you're talking
Yeah.
about
not the
not
other guy.
Schmeagol. You're
Not
talking
Schmeagol.
about Bilbo.
Bilbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Or
Alright.
like John Watson.
Yeah, John Watson. That's a
Yeah.
better version of him.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
Well,
and
if
none of
he
us can
meets
think of
Doctor
his actual
Strange, it would be
name.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be.
Well, let's go ahead and start
Oh, there
wrapping
could be a
this
new
up.
movie.
Okay.
All right,
I
so
just want to say one more thing. I really liked the last big fight between Carol Danvers and Jude Law. I thought that was done fantastic.
Oh, especially when he's like, "Drop your guard and fight me on your
Yeah.
own fist to fist," and she's like,
Yeah.
and just blast him. Like,
Yeah.
why the hell do I need to do that?
Yeah.
And it had been dictated earlier by her friend when she said, "I knew my Camaro could blow your Mustang out of the water, but you
Yeah.
took that shortcut." And she
Yeah.
said, "What's a shortcut?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also,
Just
I
a-
really like that. Like, I don't have anything to prove to you. Like,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, honestly, I saw that joke coming, especially with how hard he was supposed to face me like a man, or whatever that whole
I don't think he said
machismo-
that.
No, but I mean that was
That's
kind
how
of
Sean got it.
that was his kind of ideology with it. I saw that joke coming, but I thought it really paid off when she did that line, because I mean that's kind of the thing with in all these movies, like yeah, throw down your guns, let's fist fight this.
Well,
I'm like,
think Captain
no.
in Captain America,
Yeah.
the Winter Soldier, when you got the USC fighter that says to him,
Yeah.
"Oh, so you're just a shield," and he puts it down
Yeah.
Yeah.
to go
Oh, I
head to
remember
head
Which,
with him.
Yeah.
which is
But she's
ridiculous
not
if you
fighting.
actually think about it. If I'm in a life and death fight, I'm going to use whatever advantage I have.
And I think that was really well done, the way they dictated that with her, not only that one scene, but throughout the movie and explanations of her true character from before, that she's the kind of person, if it's
Yeah.
gonna win and it's the way,
Yeah,
then it's not a shortcut. It's not a cheap move.
Yeah.
It's just how you win.
it's a legitimate strategy.
It's a legitimate strategy. I
Yeah,
thought it was well done.
yeah. I
Also,
I
she
did
wasn't
too.
going to be
Yeah.
manipulated anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that's another good
That
point.
would be another win for him if
Yeah.
she had let him
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that.
Even if she had won the fight, it still would have been a win for him because he would have gotten her to risk it all for like
For
something
what? Just to
Yeah.
prove to
Yeah.
him something.
to
Yeah.
prove to
Like he
him
matters
something.
so
Like he
much.
mattered so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Well, since Scott's out of the room, I'm going to ask another question. What do you think of Cat Thulu?
Cat Thulu? I thought the Cat Thulu was really good.
Yeah.
That creeped me out. That
like
creeped the crud out
It
of
was
me.
great because
Or-
then it's because Samuel L. Jackson's face when he realizes this thing that he's been pet talking to the whole time that everybody else is so scared of, and he's like, "They're just afraid of cats. How silly!"
Yeah.
And then it goes, and he's like, "Oh, it's a Florgan cat." Like, okay, gotcha.
I think all cats are Florgans on it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's.
I think
a
that's what they
distinction.
were trying to tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
all
they-
cats-
Beware.
Man, we just went Men in Black on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All cats are Florgans.
I really like when
That dog's an alien.
I really like when the
It's
alien.
Frank. It's Frank the dog. Frank the pup.
I really like when the alien was like, "What do you have that in here?" And,
Why do you have a Florgan?
And,
Yeah.
Carol Danvers like picks him up. It's like using him as a weapon. It's like,
Yeah.
What's
Excellent.
I just realized that's what Samuel L. Jackson was actually playing Men in Black in this movie.
Now, you know that you have to get your daughter a bomber jacket now.
I thought that was a nice touch, by the way.
Now, see, my daughter has actually already iterated to me 2 weeks ago that her school told her she had to pick somebody from history to be in school. She has to go dressed up and give like a little history
So
statement.
she's gonna be Carol Danvers.
She already picked Amelia Earhart.
Oh, nice.
Wanted me to get her one of. She says, "I want one of your nice bomber jackets with the fur collar." And I was like, "Oh, this child was born to make me happy."
To me, when I saw the jacket at the end, I'm like, we're setting up for Rogue. But hey,
I didn't even
this
think
is
about that.
foreshadowing.
Maybe Rogue did that
I didn't
because
even
of the
think
parts
about
of
It's
that.
Carol
official by,
Danvers
by that
in
point.
her
It's
head.
official, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like, hey, maybe
That-
maybe it's a
that-
nice little nod. I don't know. We'll see.
I think
Yeah.
it could be because Carol Danvers' essence in her head definitely influenced the character she became after the fact.
Yeah, that definitely is honestly in my mind a stretch, but I like that stretch. So I'm, as Dan says, headcanon accepted. So
I'll allow it.
All right, so let's go ahead and so wrap this up here. Let's go wrap it up with what do you give it out of 5 stars? Start with Sean, and then give us a reason why.
about I'd say about 3.5 to 4. For 5
Are you
stars.
rounding up?
Well, I mean, for 5 stars, it really has to have like a deep emotional impact for me.
So it's not
So-
Infinity War.
Honestly, I wouldn't even. I'd probably put Infinity War at 4.
Stop.
Or 7.
Stop where you're at.
But 4 or 5. Well, I mean,
I just killed you in the game too. Yeah,
no, but
you
no,
did.
it's just I mean, like I'm typically pretty guarded with giving a movie that high of a rating.
You don't want it to be perfect because then you've reserved that away from everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you criticized me earlier, but Spider-Man 2, I would actually give that a 5 because
I would give
because
that
of all
a
the-
5 out of the Spider-Man
because-
series that Sam Raimi gave
No,
us.
because of a lot of the but because of a lot of the heroism talk and everything. I thought that was so inspirational at times, so amazing and everything.
Until Tobey Maguire started crying again, and then it
But-
stopped.
But
Heroes shouldn't
so
look like that. No, thank you.
but the reason why I didn't really give it any higher because like I said, I really liked the movie. I thought it was really well done, really funny. I liked a lot of the mannerisms that she had, the characterization and everything. But like John said, there was a little bit of an issue with the whole like character. She didn't really have much of a character arc. But on the flip side of that, I actually did kind of like that she was just this mega awesome character for the entire thing.
Yeah.
We were discussing on if she was a Mary Sue or not earlier, but even if she was, I liked her character.
Well, now we know why Ronan was so intent on getting the Infinity Gem. Because he witnessed the
He
power
knew
of
what he
her.
had to go up
He knew
against.
the only thing he could do to go against that would be to
Something equivalent.
right.
Now, one little thing before I give my rating. How did everybody feel about the special Stan Lee commemorative
Oh, I loved it.
Marvel Studios?
Yes.
I love
That
it.
was awesome.
Did that make
was
anybody
good.
else tear up a little bit?
No,
I didn't
because
tear
it was
up,
in
but it was-
3D.
I'm so sorry. I'll take you in 2D, man.
All right.
Go tear up. It's great. Stan Lee was one of the greatest.
Yeah.
Not because he was the greatest writer, but because he never quit putting out those
Yeah.
dreams and ideas and
Yeah.
didn't quit on them. And
Yeah,
think
he was the
that's
Carol
great.
Danvers of
He was,
Marvel.
That's a
he
good
was
point.
Captain Marvel.
They,
He
they
was
say
the
you can't do
greatest.
that, and then he'd get back up. and try
Now,
and do
I'm
it again.
totally going to give this movie 4.5 supernovas. Beyond the
Okay.
star, but not a perfect supernova.
Okay.
Just 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
Can you only go to a half, or can I do like 0.3?
You can be 0.3s.
Okay.
Honestly, we haven't really set up any rules, so you could
Yeah.
do like
Well,
4
between
point.
0 and 5.
I just went
You,
supernovas.
you could
versus
do
stars.
you could give it
apples
a
and
high
oranges.
rating if you
Can
want,
I
where
give
it's
it, like,
3.14. Da, 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 da,
of
da, da, da.
5? Like,
Give it a percentage and have a 100.
yeah. Okay. What? This,
Throw Rotten Tomatoes on us.
Rotten Tomatoes. I'm gonna give it a solid 80 out of
Until
100.
he sees the 2D.
The 3D version is
Yeah.
80.
Yeah, the 3D version is 80. Until I see the 2D version. Yeah, I think that's
That's fair.
where it stands.
So I think the 3D version was a 4. 2D version was a 3.5.
Yeah, there's plenty of movies
Which
that
rounds
I've
to a
seen
4.
that I did not like at all. But then, like, years go by, I see it a couple more times, and then become one of the classics to me.
I
So,
feel like Black Panther's like that to me. The first time I saw it, I was not thrilled. And the more I've seen it and the more I try to grasp where they were going at with the alternate storylines, I've grown to like it.
Did you see it in
However,
3D?
Chadwick Boseman in Captain America Civil War was one of my favorite characters. It's just a standalone movie.
Yeah.
I actually had the exact opposite. I didn't really like his character in Captain America, but I thought he was much better in Black Panther. So, just
Well,
granted,
everybody's got to have a Tony and/or Angel on their shoulder and a Sean and/or Devil on their shoulder. So, that's how the world works. What about you? What did you give it out of the rating system?
I'll give it 4.
Give it a 4?
Yeah, I give it 4, which is about, what, 80%?
Regular stars?
Sean, you gave it the lowest star.
I give it
I don't know.
4.
What would mine? What would 80 be on a 4?
Now, I would say it's a 4 because it's, like you said with the whole emotional thing, like, it wasn't, I guess it didn't hit me, like, emotionally as some of the other films I've had. I mean, it didn't have, it was well paced. I thought it was pretty well paced throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit rushed, because, hey, you got 2 hours and 15 minutes, you got to do an entire backstory and then set everything up for the movie of the year coming out in a few months, you know? And so it was well paced, I think, even with all that. But again, it wasn't, to me, I don't think it was just like this, 5-star movie to where it's like, man, this is amazing. I'm going to be thinking about this for months on end because it was just completely well done. And that wasn't it for me, but it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah. That was something actually, you were talking about like the emotional aspect of it. That was something I actually did think they did really well, or some of the really emotional scenes, especially like when Carol first comes back into, what was her friend's name? Maria Rambo. Like when she first comes back in and they both sit down at the table and have that heart to heart, and she's talking about the hardest part wasn't the hardest part isn't this. The hardest part was, and just like seeing the emotion in her eyes and all except that how they portrayed the emotion and everything, I thought was really beautiful and really well done.
Brie Larson did an amazing job, and I was one of the first ones that was behind Ronda Rousey becoming Captain Marvel a few years back when the fan service was going, hey, I love Ronda.
I don't think that would have worked out.
It would not have gone as well. She may not be as good as an actor, but in the world that we live in, that's an epitome of a very strong female who never really let anybody put her down.
I have a feeling that was the case.
Well, now that was a fair fight, and she got beat, and that's okay because even as a fighter, you can be beaten.
I feel if that was the case, if she did become Captain Marvel, we would have an Edward Norton thing happen again.
Yeah, we would have. It's fine.
She would get replaced later on, so I'm kind of glad they didn't.
I'm fine that they didn't do that. I just didn't know who Brie
opinion.
Larson was, and I didn't really know what to expect from her. And after seeing this, I really, really stand behind her performance and her as an actress. And if she needs me to marry her and wait on her or clean her house or just raise her kids for her, then I will do that.
She's a good actress.
Tony Stevens,
or impregnate her.
Look me up on Facebook.
Kids.
Well then.
Oh, no, I didn't want to make it creepy. I just meant we could adopt kids from the universe. We could raise a Skrull child together. Whatever we need to do.
So would you want to be with Carol Danvers or would you want to be with Brie Larson?
Both. I would want her to be in that character, and I will maintain.
Here, put this on.
I will say, you be Carol Danvers tonight, and I'll be Marshall Stone the third. Most powerful movie couple ever.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoy that and the movie as well. Yeah. But please.
2 end scenes. Make sure you stick around.
Yes, there are 2 scenes during the credits, so make sure you watch those.
Yeah, actually, I hope that you have already seen the movie by the time you've gotten to this part of the podcast.
Or you just don't care.
Hopefully you stuck around, but if not, hey.
But if you did, like and share and tell your mother about us and let her like and share with all her friends on Facebook and,
spread the word.
Yeah. Spread the love.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Saturday Night Gaming. Be sure to like, share, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, and now on iTunes and Google Play.